Hello guys, welcome back to another video of Ion. Today in this video we are going to talk about the problem with Xi's China model. As China's National People's Congress and its advisory body, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, gather this March in Beijing for their annual 2-week sessions to discuss the country's challenges and path forward. President Xi Jinping may well be tempted to take a victory lap within his first 5 years in office. He has pioneered his own style of Chinese politics, at least upending the model Deng. Xiaoping established 30 years ago, Xi has moved away from Deng's consensus-based decision-making and consolidated institutional power in his hands. He has driven the Chinese Communist Party or CCP more deeply into Chinese political, social and economic life, while constraining the influence of foreign ideas and economic position, and he has abandoned Deng's low-profile foreign policy in favor of one that is ambitious and expensive. And yet the mood in Beijing is far from victorious as Xi begins his second 5-year term as CCP General Secretary and President. There are signs that the new model's very success are becoming liabilities. Too much party control is contributing to a stagnant economy and social discontent, while too much ambition has cooled the initial ardor with which many in the international community greeted Xi's vision of a new global order with Chinese characteristics. Xi has given few signals publicly that anything has gone right. The first speeches of his second term even suggest that he is doubling down on his current approach. Doing so will only exacerbate the challenges that are emerging. But fortunately, because most of the country's current problems are of Xi's own making, he still has both the time and the power to correct his course. He has got the whole world in his hands. Xi's accomplishments to date are undeniable. His efforts to consolidate institutional power paid off in March 2018 when he successfully maneuvered to eliminate the 2-term limit on the presidency, ensuring that he could continue to hold 3 of the country's most powerful positions, that is CCP General Secretary, Chairman of the Central Military Commission and President, through at least 2027, if not beyond. His anti-corruption campaign also continued to gain steam. In 2018, 621,000 officials were punished, a marked increase over the 527,000 detained in 2017. And dozens of universities raced to establish new institutes and departments devoted to the study of Xi Jinping thought, a 14-point manifesto that includes the inviolability of CCP leadership, the rule of law, enhanced national security, and socialism with Chinese characteristics, among other broad commitments. Under Xi's leadership, the party now has eyes everywhere literally. As many as 200 million surveillance cameras have already been installed in an effort to reduce crime and control social unrest. The surveillance technology will also play an essential role in the 2020 national rollout of the country's social credit system, which will evaluate people's political and economic trustworthiness and reward and punish them accordingly. The CCP has now established party committee within nearly 70% of all private enterprises and joint ventures. In order to ensure that the business advance and interest of the state, Beijing has also succeeded in constraining outside influences, thanks to a law passed 2 years ago. For example, the number of foreign non-governmental organizations offering in China has fallen from more than 7,000 to just over 400. And Made in China 2025, China's plan to protect its domestic firms from foreign competition in 10 areas of critical cutting-edge technology is well underway. The Sichuan province government, for example, has stipulated that for 15 items of medical devices, hospitals will be reimbursed only for procedures that use Chinese manufactured device. Xi's efforts to establish greater control at home have been matched by equal dramatic moves to assert control over areas China considers its sovereign territory. Xi has militarized 7 artificial features in the South China Sea, and in January 2019, a Chinese naval official suggested that China might further fortify the islets if it feels threatened. As Beijing negotiates a South China Sea Code of Conduct with the ASEAN nations, it seeks to exclude non-ASEAN or Chinese multinationals from oil exploration and to bar foreign powers from conducting military drills unless agreed to by all signatories. Meanwhile, Xi has increased the mainland's political and economic control over Hong Kong, banning a pro-independence political party, calling on the Hong Kong media to resist pressure from the external forces to criticize or challenge Beijing, and constructing a rail terminal on Hong Kong territory which includes a customs check by China for travel to the mainland. Xi has also adopted a range of coercive economic and political policies towards Taiwan. including reducing the number of mainland tourists to the island, successfully persuading multinational not to recognize Taiwan as a separate entity, and convincing the 5 countries to switch their diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to mainland. To try to advance his sovereignty claims, the Belt and Road Initiative, CIS grand-scale connectivity plan, now extends beyond Asia, Europe and Africa to include Latin America. A little more than a year ago, the People's Liberation Army set up a logistic base in Djibouti, and in private conversation, Chinese military officials acknowledged that scores more could follow. Even as China expands its hard infrastructure, ports, railroads, highways and pipelines, it has become an increasingly essential player in the technology sphere. Brands such as Alibaba, Lenovo and Huawei have gone global, and more are on the horizon. A book by the Chinese tech guru Kai-Fu Lee proclaims that China will eventually dominate in artificial intelligence, unsurprisingly. The book has become an international bestseller. Although Lee's prediction may yet fall short, China is laying the foundation for AI leadership. 2/3 of the world's investment in AI is in China, and China already boasts a commanding presence in areas such as drone and facial recognition technology. All these successes have made China attractive to smaller countries, not only as an economic partner but as an ideology standard bearer. She has admonished that the so-called China model offers countries disenchanted with Western-style market democracy a different path to development. In countries such as Ethiopia, Tanzania and Uganda, the message resonates, and officials are learning from their Chinese counterparts how to control the media and constrain political dissent. With great power comes great problems. For all its success so far, however, the C model, fully realized, may simply be too much of a good thing. Too much party control, perhaps too consolidated into Xi's hands, has contributed to economic stagnation. Xi's predilection for state control in the economy has also starved the more efficient private sector of capital. His desire for enhanced party control within firms led one state-owned enterprises had to quit. He commented privately that the party committees wanted to make decisions but would not take responsibility when they failed. Evidence of economic distress abounds. The government is deleting statistics from the public record, a sure sign that things are not moving in the right direction. One economist has suggested that growth in 2018 fell to 1.67%, and the Shanghai stock market turned in the worst performance of any stock market in the world. Birth rates, which correlate closely with economic growth and optimism, fell to their lowest rate since 1961. Beijing has pulled back on its air pollution reduction targets after some not over the initial success, out of concern that pollution control measures might further slow the economy. Xi's consolidation of power has not only cost China's economy but raised suspicions around its enterprise work. The deafening penetration of the party into Chinese business has caused all Chinese companies to be viewed as extended arms of the CCP. Foreign firms and governments no longer have confidence that a Chinese company, private or not, can resist a CCP directive. Because of this assessment, they are cautious about drawing technology made by Chinese national champion Huawei into their critical infrastructure. Even the Belt and Road project risks bending under the weight of its ambitions. Some countries, including Bangladesh, Malaysia, Myanmar, Pakistan and Sierra Leone, among others, have reconsidered the deals they have made with China as their debts have mounted and or environmental, labor and governance concerns go unaddressed. Some experts within China now question the wisdom of the country's foreign investment, as many of the largest state-owned enterprises driving the Belt and Road projects dramatically increase their debt-to-asset ratios, well beyond those incurred by other countries' firms. Amid all this turmoil, Xi's efforts to project Chinese soft power have fallen flat. Beijing's draconian treatment of its Uyghur Muslim population in Xinjiang and its abduction of foreign citizens in China, such as the Swedish citizen Gui Minhai or the Canadian Michael Quigg and Michael Pavor, undermine its efforts to shape a positive narrative of international engagement and leadership. The Trump factor. The Trump administration's reaction to Xi has only made things worse for Beijing. Most obviously, the US government's efforts to of tariff on 250 billion US dollars in Chinese export to the United States has weakened Chinese consumer confidence and caused some multinational corporations to shift or consider shifting manufacturing out of China to other countries. The White House has enhanced relations with Taiwan, increased the number of freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea, constrained Chinese investment in areas of core US technologies, elevated international attention to the Chinese human rights practices, and begun to compete directly with the Belt and Road Initiative through infrastructure investments in partnership with other countries such as Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, as well as through the establishment of a new development finance institution, the U.S. International Development Financial Corporation. The United States is not alone in resisting Xi's charms. In the spring 2018 Pew Research Center polls, a 25-country median of 63% said they preferred a world in which the United States was the leading power, while 19% favored China. Market democracies collectively had adopted a number of measures similarly to those of the United States, and despite Trump's questioning of the importance of partners and allies, his team has proved remarkably adept to coordinating approaches to make any of these countries. Even in China, some intellectuals and entrepreneurs quietly state to visiting foreigners that the Trump administration provides an important bulwark against the worst excesses of the current Chinese model. Xi sought to tackle the rapidly mounting problem his political model has created. He will need to undertake a significant course correction and modify many of his first-term initiatives. On the economic front, his party should include structural economic reform that gives preference to the private sector over state-owned enterprises and provides a level playing field for multinationals that want to do business with China. He should also take a revised approach to the Belt and Road initiatives that adopts international standards around governance, including transparency, risk management, and environmental and labor practices. Politically, China's image and soft power would be greatly enhanced by a reduction in the government's use of Chinese citizens abroad as tools of its political and economic objectives, a step back from its coercive policies towards Hong Kong and Taiwan, and a sharp reduction in its repressive policies towards its own citizens in Xinjiang and Tibet. In his description of leadership, Xi is fond of using analogy of a relay race. A baton is passed from one runner to the next, and each runner builds upon what has come before while delivering his own contribution. With the baton in Xi's hand, the Chinese government has expanded its reach and influence at home and abroad. Yet the negative consequences of Xi's approach, local government paralysis, a declining birthrate, and international position, among others, have begun to hold China back from the finish line. Xi needs the course correct, or perhaps pass the baton to the next runner. If you like the content, then don't forget to share, subscribe, and like the video, because that will motivate me to make other videos.